I'm typing this now at 1 in the morning because I can't sleep. Let me give you a little context, I guess. I live off the side of a main road in a small town in Kentucky, in an even smaller community, and a lot of not so friendly looking people walk up and down the road at all hours. Around me on the property is me, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, and his family. My husband and his brother drive trucks for a living, and they are over the road during the week, so we're pretty much alone. For that reason, I won't be using any names. At around 9 p.m., I was sitting in my bedroom going over a creepypasta that I was going to tell on my live scary story show that I had started on Facebook. Little did I know I would be living out my own true scary story tonight. Out of nowhere, my little Yorkie and daughter had started freaking out, saying they heard knocking outside. I assumed it was my sister-in-law coming to tell me that my husband's outside dog had gotten loose, which tends to happen on rainy nights such as this. But when I got to the door, there was no one there. It was a windy night, so I assumed the wind had blew something against the house and just made a sound that had scared them. I then returned to my room to get back to work on the story and then left my door open. Then I heard it. I was trying to convince myself that I was hearing things that were not there. Just to be safe, I went to have a look, and no one was there. I told myself if someone was there, the security camera would have alerted my phone of any motion. I gave up on writing my story for a brief moment, and then sat in the living room to see if I would hear the knocking. I did. It wasn't a light tapping like one would hear if the wind was blowing or a house settling, but it was 5 actual knocks. I ran to the door, and no one was there. I began to panic because it sounded as if it was the side of the house out of range of the camera. I figured just to be safe, I would call my dad to come take a look around. When I called my dad's phone, my mom answered. The conversation went as followed. Hey Mom, I think someone's outside my house knocking on it. Honey, your daughter thinks someone's outside her house. Okay, he's putting on his shoes, he'll be there in a minute. While I waited for my dad to make the 2-minute drive, I had called my husband to keep me calm while I waited and tried to play it off like I wasn't in full-on panic mode in front of my daughter. And I then went ahead and sent my daughter to my room and I told her to lock the door since her door didn't have a lock on it. My husband was telling me that I was overreacting, which I fully believed him, but I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. One thing about my dad is he may be little, but he can be very intimidating. And if his loved ones are in danger, you better run for your life because he can really turn into a mixture of the Hulk and the Flash in no time. So my dad gets here and walks all around my house and up and down my yard and then verified that no one was here. I explained what we were hearing and he had said the same thing my husband said, that we were just scaring ourselves. Shortly after, my dad leaves and I then hear gunshots outside my house. I grabbed my husband's shotgun and then ran to the door in panic, and I then started turning lights off. I looked outside, but I didn't see any sign of anyone. My husband then calls and he had said to grab his gun and then get our daughter into our room calmly and then lock the bedroom door. Yeah, she heard the shots too, so there was no calmly to it. I asked what was going on and he explained that my sister-in-law had called her husband complaining of the same knocking at her house. Then my husband called his father to let him know, and he had complained of the same knocking at his bathroom window. And he had went outside to make a point to whoever was outside messing with us and began to shoot some rounds off to nicely say, I'm armed and I'm not afraid to use it. What really put it all together into reality for me was the fact that I hadn't even spoken to neither my father-in-law or sister-in-law to tell them about the knocking, because I assumed it was just my imagination. So how would they have known if it didn't actually happen to them as well? I asked if I should go outside and shoot some rounds off myself just to make a point of my own. He advised me not to do that because this person may very well have been trying to lure someone outside this whole time to do God knows what. This has triggered a flashback to years ago when we were in our old single wide on the same property, when I came face to face with a man trying to open my back door when I was home alone. So yeah, now I'm awake and I'm typing this story at 1 a.m. sitting next to my husband's gun on the couch while my child is in my bed finally sleeping. I really advise everyone out there to always keep your doors and windows locked at all times and to always trust your gut feeling. If something doesn't feel right, then it probably isn't. Stay safe out there.